What is up, everybody? This is J. Raj here, and you're watching episode 16 of the 2020 Visions podcast. Today we have a lot to discuss, including some rumors regarding Spider-Man in Spider-Man BND and in Avengers Doomsday. We also have a nice comic book overview that I feel like shows a good example of how the MCU could handle things in the streets of New York City during the events of Avengers Secret Wars. And then we also got to discuss the new Undisputed WWE Champion, Sami Zayn. There's also a lot of other little things, and I ain't wanting you to miss out, so let's get this thing started. So as most people know, Spider-Man BND is set to drop on July 31st, which is about 3 weeks away, and I cannot be more excited. It's clear to me, I think it is at least, that this movie could be the best Spider-Man movie ever released. That's just my personal opinion, but it's going to show a lot of villains. There's Scorpion, for example, Tombstone. Some reason the Hand is in it. The Punisher is in it. Spider-Man seemingly is going to face off against the Hulk. And who knows who else is going to be in this movie. But as we move into this movie, last time we checked in Spider-Man No Way Home, nobody remembers that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. It's as if Peter Parker never existed after the Doctor Strange spell was put into place. And so that's the lingering question coming into this movie. Who remembers Peter Parker? Who remembers him? I've seen some rumors this week that suggested that Daredevil will end up being able to remember him. And I know I seem biased, I'm the dude wearing the Daredevil shirt telling you this, but with Daredevil's powers, it's echolocation. He can hear heartbeats. He recognizes heartbeat patterns. So it will be so easy for him to be able to recognize the heartbeat pattern of Spider-Man and match it up to Peter Parker. Which to Daredevil, I'm sure Peter Parker really doesn't exist. But I believe that Peter Parker is going to be drawn out to want to visit Matt Murdock or Daredevil in prison, because at the end of Daredevil Born Again Season 2, Daredevil, or Matt Murdock will say, announces to the whole world that he is Daredevil. His identity has been revealed, and Matt Murdock was the lawyer that was helping Peter Parker in Spider-Man No Way Home. So I think that Peter, when he sees the news, he's going to figure out, wait, that's the guy that I've already dealt with. And I think that Peter Parker is going to go visit Matt Murdock in prison and talk to him and try to reveal to him that he's Spider-Man and probably try to get some help. Because Matt Murdock himself, he has had his blood mutated. Don't get it twisted. There's a difference between a mutant and someone who's had their blood mutated. A mutant is someone who's born with the X gene. It's a mutation that's been since birth. Someone who has had their blood mutated, as it appears that Spider-Man is going through, is someone who has had an accident that alters their blood. So Spider-Man got bit by the radioactive spider. Daredevil, or Matt Murdock, jumped out in front of a truck to save an old man from getting ran over, and the truck spilled out radioactive liquid that got in his eyes, boosting all of his senses. So Daredevil and Spider-Man both relate to each other in that way, that they both have had their blood mutated. So to me, it makes perfect sense that Peter Parker would show up to the prison, reveal the secret to Daredevil that he is Spider-Man, and Daredevil easily could match up the heartbeats and realize that it's true. So, and, a lot of people think that Daredevil is going to appear in Spider-Man Brand New Day. I mean, the Hand is one of Daredevil's biggest enemies that always are coming after him, and they are in the movie. So everything's pointing to the fact that Daredevil is in that movie. And to cap it all off, which really solidified this for me to believe it, is that there was a new movie poster for Dolby Cinemas. They're advertising Spider-Man Brand New Day, encouraging people to watch the movie in a Dolby Cinema experience. And this poster to me, revealed that Daredevil is going to be in the movie. So I'm going to show it to you. So here is that Dolby Cinema's advertisement poster, encouraging people to come watch Spider-Man Brand New Day, getting the full Dolby experience. And why did they choose to have the hand right there? And why did the symbol look like two D's? Daredevil. The double D's. I think that he's going to be appearing in Spider-Man Brand New Day, and he's going to be a major help to Peter Parker. And that's the thing, is whenever Peter is talking to Daredevil or Matt Murdock in prison, if what I'm thinking is true, I think that maybe Peter is going to be asking for help. But with Matt being in prison, you know, he's a Boy Scout. He's going to stay and serve his time. But he could get Spider-Man in touch with the Defenders. Or him visiting Matt Murdock in prison could be what gets him in touch with the Punisher. Because I do think that Peter is going to seek out help from Matt Murdock. Even if it's just finding ways to manage his mutation, where his blood got mutated. I'm excited to see it because over the last couple years, Daredevil has grown in the ranks to become probably one of my top 3 favorite Marvel characters. I would say my top 3 are Spider-Man, Wolverine, and Daredevil. But yeah, Daredevil, he deserves to have an on-screen presence in the movies. And with that being said, I'm hoping that Marvel will move into a new era where the shows and the movies feel more connected, to where some of these people that have their own shows might be more likely to get more spotlight in the movies. That would be great to see. So while speaking about how I'm hoping that the Marvel shows and movies will start to feel more intertwined, it makes me think of a recent interview that I heard. And it was actually an interviewer talking to Tom Holland, and the relationship between him and John Bernthal, the Punisher actor, got brought up. And if you didn't know, John Bernthal, he was actually the person that got Tom Holland connected and got him his audition to play Spider-Man to begin with. And John Bernthal actually had videoed Tom Holland's audition. So they've been close for years. And when Tom Holland starts to talk about John Bernthal, he says that I would love to pop up in one of the Punisher shows. Let's see what an R-rated version of Spider-Man looks like. I'm so grateful for John for taking the leap and being a part of the film, and I would love to repay the favor. So that sounds huge. Tom Holland wants to pop up in a Punisher show. And that's the thing I'm talking about. Like, you know, like when watching Daredevil Born Again, like Spider-Man does get referenced by Kingpin. He's like, we cannot have men wearing spider suits running around New York or something like that. Like he gets a name dropped, but you know, as a fan, you're like, dang, with this courthouse scene, Kingpin's killing a bunch of people. What if Spider-Man showed up? He didn't show up. And it does feel like, okay, what's keeping that from happening? Like, why can't that happen? I mean, I know Spider-Man is the biggest Marvel name, but imagine what it could do for these shows if you did put some of the bigger characters in these shows. So, could Spider-Man make an appearance in a future Punisher project? And, you know, the way it would play out in my head, if I was to just fantasy book this, is before Secret Wars, Peter Parker, Spider-Man, is going to get the black suit. And I think that him and Punisher are going to have like a working relationship where they're working together. And I think he's going to get easily influenced by the Punisher's ways of, instead of just giving people hope and giving them grace, Punisher just takes out his enemies. And I think that that's the dynamic they could show if Spider-Man was in a Punisher project. The symbiote is on him. So Punisher's ways of just taking out his enemies, killing them, Peter or Spider-Man might be more easily influenced to actually kill. And that could be the R-rated version of Spider-Man that Tom Holland is mentioning. I'm loving it. And I hope that they will respect Tom Holland's wants and his opinions on what he would like to do as an actor, because I'll tell you this, any fan you ask would love to see that. That would be epic. But I am going to move into the news about Spider-Man in Avengers Doomsday, or the rumors, we'll say. When it comes to Avengers Doomsday, there's been tons and tons of rumors. It's hard to keep up with what rumors might be legit, what rumors might just be garbage. But one that keeps popping up that I've heard is that Tobey Maguire's version of Spider-Man is going to be appearing in this. And when people talk about this, they also say, oh, he's going to be wearing this suit, or he's going to be wearing that suit, like different suits than what he's ever worn. The one I've seen most consistently is that Tobey Maguire is going to appear in Avengers Doomsday wearing the Iron Spider suit. And the rumors are suggesting that the suit will have been made by both Peter and Otto Octavius after they were inspired by Earth 616's Spider-Man, Tom Holland's, his nanotech suit. Peter and Otto, seeing that nanotechnology, they went back to their universe and they cooked up a nice suit of their own made of nanotech. So, with that being said, there's tons of people, including, saying Tobey Maguire will appear wearing these suits. People are also saying that, oh, Tobey is going to be fighting alongside some of his former villains. And the one I've been seeing mostly in the past was that Doc Ock and Spider-Man are going to be fighting together to try to save their universe during an incursion that's going to be happening. But technically, they're not going to be his villains anymore, because if you look back to Spider-Man No Way Home, Doc Ock's defects were fixed, and another guy who is now rumored to also be helping Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man fight, Green Goblin. He is rumored to be appearing in Avengers Doomsday, fighting alongside Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man to defend their universe. And if you think about it, and this kind of goes along with some multiversal rules that Doctor Strange has talked about, by fixing the defects of these villains in Spider-Man No Way Home and sending them back to their universes, it doesn't change the past or the future for that universe. It creates a branching timeline in a completely new universe where those villains and Spider-Man actually get along, and they're actually not even villains. So in that universe, could we get a flash showing that Spider-Man has a working relationship with Doc Ock and Green Goblin? Maybe showing that they're all kind of like heroes in that universe? Because fixing their defects, it didn't change the past. It creates a new timeline. And, with Avengers Doomsday, one of the things is, the incursions. People were saying that's going to be the main plot, is each universe has to defend itself, because an incursion is where two universes are about to collide. And the rumors are that to save your universe, you have to be willing to kill everyone in the universe that you're about to collide with. And if you just completely destroy the other universe, you save your own. So this could be pinning the X-Men against Spider-Man and Green Goblin and Otto Octavius. This could be pinning all the heroes groups from different universes all against each other. So having Tobey Maguire, Otto Octavius, and Green Goblin all fighting together to save their universe, it makes sense. And I would love to see it, because that would be just heart-wrenching, because it's destined that a bunch of these characters are going to be a goner after that movie. We got to see. Surely they wouldn't do that to Tobey before Secret Wars. Surely. Please, Marvel. Please, no. But something random regarding Spider-Man. One more Spider-Man thing that I want to talk about just briefly is I did watch the Spider-Noir show on Amazon Prime, and I forgot to talk about that a couple episodes ago. So, I just wanted to say Spider-Noir from Amazon Prime Video, Nicolas Cage is playing him. You can watch it in color and in black and white. I think it was a very unique project, but I just can't get past Nicolas Cage. I feel like his portrayal of any character, he doesn't act any different. He plays himself. Nicolas Cage does. So this version of Spider-Man, to me, it was like, I don't know, just kind of weird. I know it was Ben Reilly. It wasn't technically Peter Parker, but it was kind of cringy at times. Like there was a scene where he was like, I still get the urges of a spider. And he's going like just doing all this weird crap. I still get the urges that a spider has. I'm like, dude, Nicolas Cage. And somebody had the guts online to like post a picture of all the Spider-Men over the years, and they were trying to get you to rank Nicolas Cage's version. I'm like, dude, he ain't even on the level of these other guys. Anyway, if you're just bored though, you want to watch it, I mean, feel free to. The cinematography was sick, but it was just kind of cheesy. If you're on a bored summer day, like you're on summer break, you ain't got nothing else to do, then watch Spider-Noir. I still get the urges of a spider. So although I wasn't a fan of Nicolas Cage's portrayal of Spider-Noir, something I am a big fan of is the portrayal of the X-Men in X-Men 97 Season 2. X-Men 97 Season 2 just dropped this last week, and the first 3 episodes came out. And I just wanted to kind of share my thoughts about that, and I will say I'm enjoying it a lot. To me, though, it's clear that Marvel is strategically putting multiple teams of mutants in this show. They featured the group that we all know, X-Men. They featured X-Force, and they featured X-Factor. Like I said, we all know the X-Men, but X-Force is a group of mutants led by Cable, which they're willing to go a little more on the edge with their way that they handle things. And then X-Factor is a group of government-ran mutants that's basically trying to capture some of the mutants that they think are dangerous to the public. So I think that this is actually a strategic plan by Marvel. I've said this in the past. I think that Marvel shows hints of what they're going to start putting in live action by what they put in their animated projects. So if they're dropping something on animation, I always take it as, okay, they're testing the waters to see how the crowd reacts, to see if this will be loved good enough to put in live action. So I think that with X-Men 97 featuring multiple teams of mutants, that this is a strategic plan to get Marvel fans familiar with these groups before they are shown in live action during the MCU's next phase, the Mutant Saga. And at episode 2, they even went as far as making the intro, which usually says X-Men 97 in big letters. Episode 2 said X-Force 97. So I think that Marvel especially wants us to get familiar with that name, X-Force, because there's actually been rumors that during the Mutant Saga, Ryan Reynolds is kind of starting to work on an X-Force movie. And, you know, we've been shown like kind of like a light version of X-Force with Deadpool 2. You had Deadpool and Cable and Domino. And anyway, supposedly they're going to be actually making an X-Force movie during the Mutant Saga. So with that team being on the forefront of this new season of X-Men 97, I don't think it's coincidence. Marvel is strategically putting that in place to familiarize their audience so that we can want to expect them in future projects. But another thing kind of about X-Men 97 Season 2 is that I'm happy that there's some different characters getting spotlight that in recent history really haven't had as much spotlight, such as Cable, like I said. And, you know, he's leading the X-Force group in this season. And another character that I'm loving how they're portraying is Jubilee. When it comes to Cable, I've seen that it seems like in the 90s, Cable was a big deal. I watched the X-Men animated series from the 90s, And when he's on screen, just the way he's portrayed, it's like this dude is something special. Like he's a big deal. And for instance, I had the Marvel vs. Capcom 3 game, and Cable is one of the main characters on that game. You can play as him, and he's fun to play as. And I've found like old Marvel posters that Cable was like at the front of. So years later, they're starting to put Cable at the forefront of the mutant stories again. And I'm excited about that, and I'm excited about whatever else the season holds for him. And when it comes to Jubilee, you know, she's kind of always been looked at as the little girl of the X-Men, the one that's sweet and innocent and everybody else has to take care of her. But they showed that you know, Jubilee is not to be messed with, because she actually got imprisoned by X Factor, the government mutant group, and she broke out all by herself. She used her fireworks powers to just fight off all the guards. And she showed that she's not some little girl that can't fend for herself. Jubilee is underrated, and she can definitely be a problem for any enemy that wants to face her. And the timing of these episodes dropping right before July 4th, I don't think that was a coincidence, because we got to see a crazy fireworks show in that episode where Jubilee is fighting off the guards to escape the prison. And I will say this, I watched some fireworks for the 4th, and I was sitting there and I couldn't help but think, like, I thought that Jubilee's powers were just like a little cute thing. Oh, you know, that's cute. She's just doing a light show for everybody. But if you look at fireworks in real life, imagine some of the biggest fireworks being shot at you. Them things will mess you up. Like, I'm not going to say that they're, I don't know. I don't know if they would hurt as much as a gunshot. They could probably do a lot of damage. If you got a lot of them coming at you, it might even take you out completely, if you know what I'm saying. So Jubilee, it's being shown that she's a force to be reckoned with. She's not just no weakling. She can fend for herself, and I think that it would be awesome to just see her embracing her full power even more in animation and in live action in the Mutant Saga. But another character that I thought it was kind of cool how they showed him in one of the episodes was it showed Morph fighting, and he actually changed into Thor. He morphed into Thor and took out some enemies. And that does just kind of remind us that these X-Men and X-Men 97, they're not disconnected from the rest of the Marvel characters. So that was a cool reminder of that by showing Morph changing into Thor. We've already saw in the trailer he ends up changing into Deadpool as well. So I'm loving that they're just keeping that in our head, that this is not just some isolated story. This is interconnected to all the rest of the Marvel universe in animation. So, yeah. But with that being said, kind of what I was talking about with Jubilee's powers are not to be messed with. If you watched some fireworks at July 4th, you would know that you do not want to be shot by any of them, especially the big ones. They will do some damage. They can cause injury, maybe even death. And Jubilee can bring the pain, I'll tell you that. And with that being said, I wanted to pull up my Marvel Encyclopedia and just kind of talk about the overview of what it says about Jubilee, just so if anyone is not familiar with her character, at least you can be now. So yeah, I'm going to go into that. So here's what my Marvel Encyclopedia says about Jubilee. It says that her real name is Jubilation Lee. She's 5'5", only 105 pounds. And her first appearance was in the Uncanny X-Men issue number 244 from May of 1989. And it says that her powers are that Jubilee generates and projects fireworks from her fingers. She is also able to control, direct, and reabsorb these. And it says that Jubilee was born to wealthy Chinese immigrants, and she was raised in Beverly Hills, becoming a top-class gymnast. After her parents lost their fortune and then their lives, Jubilee was left orphaned. She ran away, living at the Hollywood Mall where her mutant powers manifested. Having evaded mall security with the help of various X-Men, Jubilee followed them through a teleportal to their Australian base, remaining hidden there until it was abandoned. She left the base with Wolverine, and they traveled through Asia. He found her directness, sarcasm, and honesty refreshing. She came to regard him as a surrogate father. Jubilee has been a member of the X-Men, Generation X, and the X-Corps. She lost her powers but was then turned into a vampire by Xeris. Later cured and her mutant powers restored, Jubilee adopted an orphan baby named Shogo. The two were part of the mutant nation of Krakoa, where Jubilee also joined the Excalibur team. Although Shogo was human, when he went to Otherworld, the fairy magic there enabled him to choose his own form, a dragon. Jubilee was killed in the Hellfire Gala attack by Orcus. So, some of that stuff, as far as like her becoming a vampire and stuff like that, I don't imagine that they're gonna like be putting that at the forefront of the storytelling for anything on TV. But she's not a force to be taken lightly, and that is an important part of her character, as well as her bond with Wolverine. He's like a father figure to her. So I have seen the orphan Shogo. I've seen the dragon version of Shogo in some comics before. But yeah. So some of that I talked about is from the newest comics, which, not everybody likes the newest comics. But yeah, that was a little bit about Jubilee. If you ever want to look into her character, use the Marvel Unlimited app, and you can also just look for some comics with her. This says her first appearance was Uncanny X-Men issue 244. So if you end up looking at some comics from that time frame, you might end up finding her in those stories. So yeah. But anyway, we're going to move on to the next thing. So I know we've been talking about a whole lot of Marvel stuff. I'm going to move into talking about a little bit of some WWE regarding Sami Zayn winning the WWE Undisputed Championship. But if you're not into WWE, stay tuned, because at the end of this, I'm going to be doing a comic book overview of Marvel Knights, which is a great story, and I wouldn't want you to miss it. But moving on to the WWE stuff, Sami Zayn is the new WWE Undisputed Champion. After the PLE in Saudi Arabia, he had a triple threat match. It was Sami Zayn versus Cody Rhodes versus Gunther. And in my head, I was like, okay, it's in Saudi Arabia. Sami Zayn is a crowd favorite there. So I was thinking the pop will be insane. But Sami has been working for over 20 years, and he has never won a world championship for WWE. I mean, he's been with WWE for probably close to 15 years. But yeah, he's never won a championship for WWE, as far as the world championship at least. So even though it seemed like the right environment for it, I was thinking, I think WWE's always just going to play with our emotions, just try to make us hope and just to crush our dreams. And I'll say I haven't been a fan of Sami Zayn this past year. He just got kind of cheesy. But if you put him in the Undisputed Championship picture against Cody Rhodes, who is kind of getting stale, and against Gunther, who is kind of just hated, then it's hard not to root for Sami Zayn. And this match was just great. There were so many false finishes. And when it seemed like Sami might win when he reversed Gunther's powerbomb, I was like, holy crap, that was one of the smoothest reversals I've seen anybody do to Gunther's powerbomb. It was just so crisp. And him ended up kind of winning by the quick pin and everything. It was amazing to see. And it kind of got me a little teary-eyed, I'm not going to lie, because someone who has dedicated their life to this craft, who has been pushed aside time and time again, who, whether you want to admit it or not, someone who really has been the underdog for years, even though they tried to shove that in our face and it got annoying. Sami Zayn has been the underdog for a while. It was such a cool moment to see him finally win the WWE Undisputed Championship. And to do that against Cody Rhodes and Gunther too, and it be the title, that's awesome. And I think it adds a new dynamic to the championship picture in WWE, because I think it adds a new bit of unpredictability. When Cody Rhodes was champion, it's like, okay, if he's got a singles match, you know, they're going to want Cody looking strong. Like, it's pretty much all the time. If Cody Rhodes had a match, I was just like, unless it was Drew McIntyre, I was thinking there's no way they're going to have Cody drop the title. But with Sami Zayn, he's definitely not someone that seems to be untouchable. He seems like a very vulnerable champion. He's not as big as the others. He's not as strong as the others. So I think that this could give some people like the opportunity to get a shot against Sami Zayn, and it to be just matches that will, you know, just knock it out of the park. And, you know, if I was to just do like a fantasy booking of mine, I would maybe have Chad Gable, who has been very hot since he dropped the El Grande Americano gimmick. Chad Gable has returned. The crowd is behind him. He's defending the luchadors. Like I said, the crowd's behind him, and him and Sami Zayn have a history when they were battling for the IC title. I could maybe see them setting up Chad Gable to have like a one-off title match against Sami Zayn. But they would just be coming at each other in a respectful way. And it could just give Chad Gable like a world championship opportunity. I'm pretty sure Chad Gable has never had a world championship opportunity. And this could just test the waters to see how he'll do in the biggest pressured situations. I'm not at all thinking Chad Gable would win it, but just for him, that would be awesome to see him get a title shot of that caliber. And with it being Sami Zayn, it adds a little believability that Chad Gable could actually beat him. But yeah, as far as like another fantasy booking of mine, it kind of revolves Oba Femi. It involves him, I mean, which they did announce that Oba Femi is going to be facing Brock Lesnar for the third time at Summerslam, which is going to be in Brock Lesnar's hometown of Minneapolis, Minnesota, I'm pretty sure. And Oba is facing Brock in a Hell in a Cell match. But it's clear that Oba's path is going to end up leading to Roman Reigns, because Oba being king of the ring, he gets to choose who he faces, and he had already called out Roman Reigns after WrestleMania. So a fantasy booking of mine is that as Oba Femi is on the path to Roman Reigns, Roman is going to make Jacob Fatu face Oba Femi. Because Roman's not just going to just fight him just whenever. He's obviously going to send the bloodline after him. We've already seen that Oba just annihilated Jey Uso in the ring and on the mic, by the way. Thank goodness WWE did not give Jey Uso the King of the Ring win over Oba. Thank you, Lord. But I think the next person that the bloodline is going to throw at Oba is going to be Jacob Fatu. And, you know, Jacob Fatu, he's kind of forced into being part of the bloodline. And here's the thing. If WWE does this, I could see them doing it on like a B-tier pay-per-view. Or I could see them doing it just on an episode of SmackDown or Raw. Well, I guess it would be Raw. But it'll be a tease, though. WWE's just going to tease us with it. There's going to be an interference. Roman Reigns will end up interfering. And that's going to make Jacob Fatu mad at Roman. It's going to add more tension between Jacob Fatu and Roman. And it's also going to plant seeds for fans wanting to see more of Oba Femi versus Jacob Fatu. So I think that eventually Oba is going to get to Roman and he is going to win the championship from Roman. And maybe one of the first challengers would be Jacob Fatu in a match that wouldn't get interfered with. I can see that kind of happening. But like I said, I'm so happy that Oba Femi beat Jey Uso like at the King of the Ring tournament to become the King of the Ring. People were trying to say that Oba Femi tapped out during the sleeper that Jey put in. Come on. Like, if you want people to believe the product, don't you ever try to add that narrative that Jey Uso, the YEET Man, could ever beat the ruler by making him tap out. Don't you ever do that if you want people to believe in WWE. I'm just playing around. You can believe what you want. But yeah, I am really excited for SummerSlam though. It's Saturday, August 1st and Sunday, August 2nd. And I'm really just hyped to see what other matches get announced. I'd love to see some more of Trick Williams. I think Trick Williams versus LA Knight would be a sick feud. Me personally. But I don't know what the heck they got LA Knight doing right now, if I'm being real with you. Like, is he in the Bloodline story? Like, where does he fit into that? I don't understand. But like I said, I'm excited for SummerSlam to see what other matches get announced. And with it being August 1st and August 2nd, that's going to be a huge weekend for me personally. Because Friday, I'm seeing Spider-Man Brand New Day, July 31st. Saturday is night 1 of SummerSlam, and Sunday is night 2. That weekend is going to be so sick. But with that being said, I am going to go into the comic book overview for the day. So like I said before, this week's comic book overview is Marvel Knights, which is a series from 2000. And it kind of captures a dynamic that I wish the MCU could capture more so in their films, where all these heroes, a lot of them are based in New York City. Why is it that in the movies and films, you don't have more heroes just running into each other, popping in and out? You know, like the season finale of Daredevil Born Again. Why couldn't Spider-Man have just popped in, helped out, and then left? It's like, you know, in reality, most of these heroes are in the same city. And this could be a blueprint. This comic could. It could be a blueprint of how I think Marvel could handle things during the events of Secret Wars. Because during Secret Wars, a lot of the Avengers, they're going to be off planet in Battle World in a whole nother dimension, leaving New York City streets to be vulnerable for gangs to take over, for criminals to take over. So during the events of Secret Wars, you're going to need street level figures to step up and defend the streets so that New York City just doesn't get destroyed. And I feel like this comic is a blueprint for how they could do this. So the comic starts off with Daredevil. He's chasing this criminal on the roof, and then they cut a corner and Punisher's standing there. He shoots the criminal in the knee. And there was a plot that they had revealed that prior to this, Daredevil had already been trying to find the Punisher because he wants to turn the Punisher into the police because he doesn't agree with Punisher's way of handling things, which he just flat out kills criminals. Punisher thinks that they should just be punished by having them killed, while Daredevil believes in justice, that everyone should get the opportunity to serve time and have redemption. So Daredevil's mad that Punisher just shot this guy in the knee that Daredevil was facing. And it shows them with the criminal tied up. They're going back and forth. Punisher is saying that why is it that your friends, the Avengers, they're more worried about other planets and other countries than our own streets of where they're based in, because it is revealed that the Avengers are not even in New York at this time. So Punisher's taking jabs at Daredevil, saying that if your friends weren't gone, I wouldn't even have to be doing this, but I'm doing the right thing. And Daredevil, he's just saying that, even though this man's a criminal, he deserves justice. And that's their dynamic. They help each other some, but they don't agree with each other. And it seems like Daredevil kind of hates Punisher in this moment. But Punisher, he knows that Daredevil's been looking for him, and he tells him that he's going to do him a favor, and he's not going to kill this criminal. He'll do him a favor by not killing him. Daredevil still mentions getting Frank, the Punisher, and taking him into custody. And Frank, the Punisher, is like, I could always take back my favor. So he tells Daredevil that if you try to tie me up, I will kill this man. So that's the way that Punisher is able to escape. And it pans to another scene where it shows Black Widow just randomly kind of fighting off a bunch of enemies. And that's kind of a theme in this comic. It pans to a bunch of random heroes that end up having their own fights that they're involved with, but they all get intertwined and they all end up crossing paths and having to help each other. So here's Black Widow doing her thing, laying the smackdown on some thugs. And then Daredevil ends up popping in this church where Black Widow ends up being, talking to her. And I don't know if y'all knew this, Daredevil and Black Widow actually dated for a while in the comics. So there's some romantic undertones, like some flirtiness kind of going on between Daredevil and her. And also it shows that Dagger, which is part of Cloak and Dagger, she's there as well. So just like that, we got four street level characters that just happen to randomly run into each other. But it makes for an entertaining story. Black Widow, she had kind of ran into Dagger and she's offered to help her. And Daredevil is also, he goes to them and he talks to them saying, hey, would y'all be able to help me find the Punisher? So that's kind of a plot during this storyline, is Daredevil wants to find the Punisher and bring him to justice. And he's getting Black Widow and Dagger to help him. But then it ends up showing that, they do get a little sidetracked. Black Widow knows about some thugs, and they're like in this deep hole in the ground. So Black Widow, Dagger, and Daredevil are about to go down in here, try to bust a gang. But you see Punisher watching them in the distance. And that's the thing. Punisher, in a way, he's using this group of heroes because he knows that in the end, they want him. So if he can be on the run and just happen to run into the gangs that he wants killed, then by default, he's going to have help taking down the gangs that he wants to have taken down. So Punisher is using their rabbit chase to his advantage to take out his enemies. He's very tactical in the way that he does this. And so it shows that this group they were going after, and you can also see Cloak up top, he kind of ends up being in this. This group that they're going after is not humans after all. It's a bunch of like animalistic monster things. I don't remember what it said they're called. But you can also see that Cloak is introduced in this. So you got Cloak, Dagger, Black Widow, Daredevil, Punisher. And then it shows that Punisher he ties up Daredevil because they all just happen to run into the same spot at the same time. That's their thought, at least, that, this is a coincidence. But no, Punisher set it up like that. And whenever Daredevil gets there, Punisher ties him up, and Punisher just shoots all these things and just kills them. He knew Daredevil was going to try to prevent him from doing that. So this art, though, I love this era of comics. Like, the art, to me, is just awesome. And seeing Punisher with the night vision goggles is just, it's kind of awesome, in my opinion. So, here's them kind of arguing because Punisher, like I said, the enemies that group ran into, Punisher had them killed, and they're upset at each other. But Punisher still gets to be on the run. Daredevil still can't capture him. And it even goes to show that Moon Knight pops up. 1 second. I thought I messed up my screen for a sec. So all these other heroes. Then here's Moon Knight. And it ends up that Daredevil recruits Moon Knight to where Moon Knight is going to help them. And this panel kind of stood out to me because it's Punisher. He talks about his plan that I mentioned. He says, War Journal entry. This is during the Punisher War Journal times. He says, changing challenges into opportunities is all part of a war. This crowd presents a golden opportunity. And that's Punisher talking about how the group that's coming after him, before he was looking at them as a challenge, but now he's looking at them as an opportunity to, by default, if they're following him, they're going to help him take out his own enemies in the mob groups and in the gangs. So it goes to show Shang-Chi. He's another person involved with this. We already got like 7 heroes involved. Shang-Chi is fighting a bunch of ninjas that the Mandarin sent after him, which the Mandarin is Shang-Chi's dad. And the panels with Shang-Chi, I've never read anything with him in it before, but I was like, oh man, this is action-packed. Like, they show like frame by frame just him kicking people in the head, just punching people out. It's pretty sick. And then it shows that he was able to defeat the people the Mandarin sent after him, and now the Mandarin sent this man called the Weapons Master after him. And I've never seen this guy either, but just by his portrayal, pretty much anything he can get his hands on, he can turn into a weapon, and he's masterful at it. So the Weapons Master gets sent by the Mandarin after Shang-Chi. And it ends up showing that Shang-Chi crosses paths with all these other heroes too. But here's him and the Weapon Master going at it. The precision of his fighting to where he can catch the blade. Shang-Chi is just like a master at martial arts, and he's one of the best fighters in all of Marvel. But yeah, I want to look into the Weapons Master more in the future because he looks pretty awesome. But this kind of shows that makeshift team, they all kind of ran into each other, and they're using this tower that Moon Knight owns as their base of operations. And basically this is like a 16-part series, but I'm kind of only showing stuff from the first 6 issues. But anyway, so we got a team: Daredevil, Black Widow, Cloak, Dagger's kind of doing his own thing now, Moon Knight, and Shang-Chi is part of the group as well. It ends up panning to the Punisher. He had got wind of this gang leader named Daddy Wronglegs, and he's like, oh, that's a weird name. And then he figures out the reason it's a weird name is because it's the nickname that the thugs who had ran into this creature had given it. It's not a person at all. It's a mutated spider creature and a bunch of others as well. And they all start fighting the Punisher. He's fighting for his life. And this shows why I like when just random heroes pop up and pop out of stories, which it's completely okay. It's cool to see. The Fantastic Four end up showing up because they got wind of Daddy Wronglegs, these mutated creatures, and they basically fight off the creatures to rescue the Punisher, except they don't even realize that it is the Punisher. They end up looking back to him and saying, "Are you okay, pal?" And saying, "Why are you here?" And he's just like, "Oh, I'm just a homeless guy. I was looking for a place to sleep." And Punisher makes it a point to say at the bottom right, he says, "They save the whole world once a week, and they still can't be bothered to notice just one person in it." So that shows the way that Punisher looks at these big time heroes. He thinks that, they truly don't care about the everyday people. The only reason they came after this Daddy Longlegs creature is so they could capture it and study it in the Baxter building. Would they truly have cared if it was just a bunch of thugs trying to kill him? No. So that's kind of how Punisher feels about the big time heroes. He don't think that they're serving New York how they're supposed to. And in this panel, it ends up showing the Punisher saying, the Fantastic Four, the toughest super beings on the planet, they can take on all comers and be home in time for dinner. Why couldn't I have someone like them after me? And that's referencing that he has the Marvel Knights after him. It's a makeshift group of Daredevil, Moon Knight, Dagger, Black Widow, Shang-Chi as well. Just kind of a random group of heroes that aren't near as efficient as some of the big super teams such as the Fantastic Four. And the reason he cares about the efficiency is because he wants to have a team chasing him down so that he can lead them to his enemies. And if the Fantastic Four were to go after the Punisher's enemies, he could sit back and just know that it'll all get took care of without him even having to do much. So, yeah, that was the last panel I'm going to show. This was Marvel Knights. I only went over parts through issues 1 through 6. So there's still a lot more that I didn't reveal. There's more characters that get introduced. And I love the dynamic of heroes just popping in and out randomly. That's how the Marvel Universe should feel. It should feel lived in. It should feel like they're all just next door, because in storytelling, they are. That's how it should be on TV as well. But, yeah. I'm just very glad that all y'all who are watching this have tuned in. I appreciate all the love. And if y'all got any comics that you would want me to read, just suggest them in the comments. And, yeah. We're just going to keep this train rolling. And I do need more comics to read, so I really would love it if y'all suggested some. But this has been the 2020 Visions podcast, episode 16. I'm J. Raj, and I'm super grateful for y'all. I hope that you had a good July 4th, and I hope that you have a good couple weeks. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.